watch your back.
I wish they'd get this quiet at home when I come in.
Hey, I'm moving back over to the other side of the house today.
I know. Inside joke. Let's see, we got one. We'll get started here in just 1 second. And that 1 second has occurred. Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Wheatley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner of Precinct 1.
Present.
Devin Allen, Commissioner of Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Figgis, Commissioner of Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner of Precinct 4.
Here.
Constituency 4.
Our invocation today will be delivered by our own Rick Brunson. Thank you, Rick. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Rick.
Hey, Rick.
Hebrews chapter 10, verses 35 and 36 tell us, "Do not cast away your confidence, which has great reward. For you have need of endurance, so that after you have done the will of God, you may receive the promise." Let us pray. Nurturing and loving Lord, today we recognize and celebrate those who have answered your call to serve our community as teachers, administrators, and nurses. Their legacy lives on in all they have touched. We ask for your presence with this court and all who contribute to today's agenda. May the discussions, debate, and decisions made today be with clear eyes, full hearts, and an unwavering passion to do what is right, just, and fair. For you are with us always, and for that we are grateful. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Rick. Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have several announcements relating to the agenda this morning, and we can start at the administrator section. We can go to item A8. This is a consent item that we're going to hold for a week. This is bid number 2021 CD-008. Also on the criminal district attorney's section, item 9D, 1 and 2, we have an audience participation form on that, and so we're removing those from the consent agenda. Just a note, normally, and my office made an error on this, normally you would see those two particular items be on the county administrator section, and we inadvertently put it on the district attorney's office, so that was an oversight in our office, and we'll make sure that doesn't happen again. But we will take those, and my office will respond to any questions the court may have on those particular items. On 10H4, this is a receive and file of a notice of award as it relates to the Department of Family Protective Services. We're going to hold that one for 1 week. We made a slight error on how we agendized it, and we want to be totally accurate on that particular one. So that'll be up for next week. And then also, members of court, under transportation, which is L4, this is revisions to two agreements with TxDOT, and there's an issue that we have yet to resolve on that, and we're going to ask that we hold that for 1 week. Members of the court, you know that that the May 31st meeting, or Tuesday, is the 5th meeting of the month, and we will not have Commissioners Court that date. So next week will be the last week in this month for a court meeting, and then we'll resume our court meetings in June. Also, you might remember last week when we spoke, We talked a little bit about the health briefings. You will find that you have the slide deck from Public Health. We are not going to make a presentation on that today. We'll simply receive and file that. But the reason we're doing that is because we informed the court last week that we would do a briefing once every 2 weeks on that particular item. And so this is the off week on that. So we'll have a briefing for you again. But there is information in your packet and on the website as it relates to those particular issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Commissioner's announcements. Do you all have any announcements you wish to make at this time?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I was asking if you had any announcements you wish to make, and
Oh, you know I do.
I was waiting.
Yes. Well, first off, just a reminder that early vote for the primary runoff election started yesterday. So we do have a list of congressional races, state house races, state board of education, and a few county races in there, both in either the Democratic primary or the Republican primary. So even if you did not vote in the primary in March, you can still participate in the primary runoff, but so please make sure that you make your voice heard. And that election early vote runs through this week, and then election day is next Tuesday, May 24th. And that's all I have.
Commissioner Fickus?
Yeah, I wanted to introduce Sydney Schelling, who is an intern with our office, who actually starts today. And Sydney, there she is standing. She's just finished her first year at TCU. She's a proud graduate of Carroll High School. And I want to welcome her to our team and thank you. So pleased to have you with us today.
Go Panthers.
Commissioner Brooks, anything today?
I got nothing.
I want to just mention a couple of things. Obviously, last week I was out with COVID. I will still tell you that I believe very strongly that I had an extremely mild case, and that's because of the fact that I had gotten the vaccines and because I had gotten the booster. I tested positive on Monday. Literally, besides every once in a while getting the hiccups, which we're still trying to figure out, had no symptoms, never ran any kind of a fever, oxygenation 97 to 99. But I want to tell everyone how much I appreciate your thoughts and prayers. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get those vaccines, to get that booster. No one else in my family got it. I really started showing symptoms on Mother's Day, so we had the whole family over. My wife, Brenda, never got it. She's moved back in. Or at least she says she's moved back in. We'll see tonight. But I really want to thank everybody, and I want to encourage everybody, if you have not been vaccinated, please, please, please get it. I can't say anything more than that. I just feel that strongly about the way it affected me. The other thing that
I'd like you to amend your statement. If you have not been vaccinated and all
boosted, yes.
there you go.
So I want to thank Vinny and his office for the help that they gave me and for the encouragement that they gave me to do what he told me to do.
That part.
Yes, that part. The second thing that I want to mention, and I think it's a concern that we're hearing nationwide, statewide, certainly within the community, is the news basically highlighting the baby formula shortage. And I would just tell you we're doing everything we can. I've been assured by our Tarrant County WIC is working very closely with the state to ensure that all participants' needs are being met. If you've got questions, you need to please visit texaswic.org. I know that Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne has also got a website called dfwbabyformula.com, but we're going to continue to do everything we can to try and assist in whatever way that we possibly can. I know that we've heard an awful lot about it, and we just need to work together, not hoard, but to just do whatever we can to help one another get through this particular process and as quickly as possible, because it's very important that we do that. With that, we are going to move to the approval of the minutes.
Your Honor, if I could just have, there's one or two other items on the agenda I forgot to notify the court on.
Okay?
So under the Administrator's section, item 3, this is the Rules of Decorum. We're going to ask that we hold that until after closed today. Also, as relates to some of the briefing items, we're going to take some of those out of order once we get to the Administrator's section.
Okay. And I'm going to just make this comment about the Rules of Decorum. I know we're going to look at that. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I know there's been anticipation that we're going to possibly change or do anything. I, for one, and I'm only speaking for one, do not anticipate that we're going to take any action today. There has been confusion over the past few weeks, over the past few months, about different rules, different things within that deal. Commissioner Brooks mentioned that last week, and that there was confusion, and we're going to try to look at that, but I am not envisioning today, I for one, am not envisioning today that we're going to do anything, that we're going to take any action whatsoever to set any new rules, new procedures, new thoughts with regards to that. So,
Your Honor, this was simply a placeholder on the agenda.
and I understand that, but because we're not going to do it until after closed, everybody in the line or everybody out there who may have thought that we were going to make changes and then come back after closed and do something, I, for one, will not be in favor of doing anything and will request the court to not take any action today, because I don't want you to have to wait till after close to find out we didn't do anything. So that's, we'll see when we get there, and if anybody else has any other feelings, then we can maybe make up at that time, even though we're going to wait till after closed. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of May the 10th.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. It's good to be back. We have some great resolutions and proclamations. I look out in this room today and cannot even begin to tell you the respect I have for all of the varied number of people from the different works of life, from the different areas of passion, I guess I would say, that we have represented in this room today. The first ones that we have is a resolution on National Recovery Court Month, and I believe we have, Judge Bennett was supposed to be here today, but I don't think she's feeling well, so she wasn't able to make it, but I think Judge Reek is here. Jennifer Gilley, my good friend for many, many years. John Haynes, Suzanne Lofton, and I believe other members of your team. Would they stand, or they can come forward at this point in time? And there you go. You might just want to stand. Whereas treatment courts have been restoring lives and families for more than 3 decades, and whereas treatment courts are the cornerstone of justice reform sweeping the nation, and there are now nearly 4,000 treatment courts nationwide that have served more than 1.5 million individuals. And whereas treatment courts are now recognized as the most successful justice system intervention in our nation's history, saving an average of $6,000 per every individual they serve, and whereas treatment courts significantly improve substance use disorder treatment outcomes, substantially reduce addiction and related crime, and do so at less expense than any other criminal justice strategy. And whereas treatment courts improve education, employment, housing, and financial stability, promote family reunification, reduce foster care placements, and increase the rate addicted mothers delivering babies, and increase the rate of addicted mothers delivering babies who are fully drug-free. And whereas treatment courts facilitate community-wide partnerships, bringing together public safety and public health, and whereas treatment courts demonstrate that when one person rises out of substance use and crime, we all rise. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do recognize the month of May 2022 as National Recovery Court Month in Tarrant County. Be it further resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, recognize Judge Patricia Baca-Bennett and Associate Judge Matthew Reek for their efforts in ensuring the Family Recovery Court has been able to continue to provide services without interruption to participants of these programs. In witness whereof, we have set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 17th day of May 2022, and I'll move its approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Please. Bino, get close. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank y'all very much. I appreciate it.
Now turn around and get the picture. It'll flash 3 times before you can leave. Yeah, Vinny, don't be sitting in my...
On behalf of Judge Patricia Baca-Bennett and myself, I'd like to thank the commissioners and the county for this recognition for this program. Just briefly, I began work with this program in March and April of 20 as COVID first hit. I was unfamiliar with the program at the time, but I had heard of it, and I was aware of kind of the good works of Judge Ellen Smith in getting this program started. What I've seen during my own time working with these folks is a team that's devoted to helping people on the most direct and grassroots level that you can. We have members of the team that are helping folks at every level, that are there at the hospital when they're injured, that are there in the middle of the night to take a phone call when somebody is considering a relapse. And we have this excellent team that meets with a great deal of care to give these folks every chance at success that they can. And we've seen a great deal of success in all 3 branches of the program. We have an early childhood intervention program. We have a review program, but we also have an intensive program where I see these folks every other week. And we've seen a great deal of success in helping people to make meaningful change in their lives. And so I'm honored to have the opportunity to work with this team and with John Haynes, with all the other folks. And I'm very thrilled for the recognition because it's for them and not for me. But I'm so proud to work with them and hope to have the opportunity to do that for a long time. So thank you.
Thank every one of y'all. Thank y'all all very much. Several years ago, I'm not sure how many years ago, Rachel? 4 years ago. We came across an issue that dealt with asthma in our schools and the ability to be able to, at a very minimal cost, provide some very critical assistance to the school nurses. It has been a tremendous success because a lot of people have been very committed to it. Today we're going to read a resolution on National Asthma and Allergy Awareness Month. I believe we have representatives from the Fort Worth ISD. I see, come on, y'all stand up, come on down. The Center for Children's Health led by Cooks. Y'all come on down, come on. You're not bashful. JPS Health Network Acclaim and their physician group. Safer Care Texas, which is a Health Science Center. This has truly been, Rachel, you come on down too. This has truly been a team effort, and I think has had a tremendous effect for what has been, I mean, unbelievably minimal costs. Whereas since 1984, the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America has declared May to be National Asthma and Allergy Awareness Month, with asthma currently impacting an estimated 22.6 million Americans, including 6.1 million children. And whereas poorly controlled asthma results in the increased use of emergency department and hospital resources, increases medical costs and mortality, reduces productivity at work and school, and negatively impacts quality of life. And whereas the annual economic burden of asthma in the United States is estimated to be $81.9 billion, including health services, mortality, work absences, and school absences. And whereas in Tarrant County, 13% of school-aged children, an estimated almost 48,000, currently have asthma, 6% of children ages 6 through 17 have missed school due to asthma symptoms, and asthma is a leading cause of school absences that increases children's academic risk and reduces funding for Tarrant County schools. And whereas the burden of asthma may be sharply reduced through self-management education, awareness, and appropriate health care as promoted through the Asthma 411 Consortium and supported by Safer Care Texas at the University of North Texas Health Science Center at Fort Worth, the JPS Health Network, the Acclaim Physician Group, and the Center for Children's Health led by Cook's Children's. And whereas Tarrant County encourages improved control of asthma to reduce the impact of this chronic condition on the health, education, economic well-being, and quality of life for all people in the county, particularly children. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby recognize May 2022 as Asthma and Allergy Awareness Month in Tarrant County, and further we encourage the citizens of Tarrant County to work together to promote and improve health, education, and economic outcomes by increasing awareness, understanding, and control of asthma. In witness whereof, we have herein to set our hands and cause the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 17th day of May, 2022, and I'll move its approval.
Second.
We have a motion to second. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. I can't thank you all enough for everything y'all done in this regard. Commissioner Brooks, if you could.
I just want to say a couple of words. I am Leslie Alsop at HSC, and so grateful today because this proclamation represents truly 10 years of dedication, innovation, and bold leadership on the parts of those here today taking action for what we can accomplish for vulnerable kids and supporting their health and education. They can breathe easier, they'll learn better. 10 years ago, David Sterling brought the Asthma 411 model, an evidence-based program, but taking that first step is a risk to make a change. And I want to thank Fort Worth ISD leaders here today who took that first step with their vision and found 2 schools, 2 campuses where we could pilot this and get started. when we had that success, we brought it to Judge Whitley, and he took that bold leadership and action to say, we should be able to make this happen. Cook Children's, JPS, UNTL Science Center stepped up to the plate to do it, and today we have memorandums of understanding to serve children in 11 school districts, 370 campuses, over 240,000 children are enrolled there. And while our first commitment is to the children of Tarrant County, benefits are no longer stopping here because we've just been asked 2 weeks ago, the Texas Asthma Control Collaboration asked us to present this statewide so that other districts and communities across the state could benefit. Again, so much gratitude and honor to be a part of this. I look forward to what collaboration and partnership can continue to do at that intersection of health and education to support the success of all of our children, and certainly the success of our future depends on them. Thank you all.
Thank you. Toby? Folks, I want you to just get a little bit, you heard the exact description of what happened, but here's the other part that happened. They did the 2 pilot projects. We're sitting at a reception in Cap Grill.
Yes, sir.
Andrew Krim is there. I say, Andrew, what is the cost of this? And he said, well, it's about $150 per school. And I said, no. 150,000? No, he said $150. And I looked at Toby and I said, there is absolutely no reason that this is not everywhere. And we began that process at that point. As was mentioned earlier, we brought together Cooks, we brought together JPS, we brought together UNT. I can't thank Cooks enough because they said, you know, just so that no school will worry about what the cost may be, because that's always they said, we'll underwrite it, we'll instruct people on it, we have workshops, we'd have workshops where we'd bring the nurses in and train them. This is what collaboration is about. It's not who gets credit, it's what do we do to help the kids or to help whatever segment. You heard earlier, we're helping people who have problems, and we're helping them through the court system. What we're going to do next is recognize people whose passion it is to serve everybody every day of their life. But this group right here put everything aside and said, we're going to make it work. I see you stand up. I can't call your name. Who's the... I think I'm looking at somebody who was very involved in the process. Maybe I'm not. No, it's the lady. Behind you is the lady in blue, and behind that person is an individual. Are you in any way involved in healthcare? Then I've got you confused with somebody else. But I had you confused. Be careful. And he was with UNT and it may have been actually with Cooks that helped with that process too, and the funding and making sure that it passed through the budget. Toby, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Judge Whitley and each of our esteemed commissioners, it's a privilege to stand before you today and to see this day here. Our children's #1 reason for absenteeism is asthma. And if they go to the emergency room, we know they lose about 3 days. Mm-hmm. And 3 days of learning, especially post-COVID, is pretty traumatic. But what I'm really here to do is to honor you, Judge Whitley, because in milliseconds in the Capitol Grill, you made an assessment and you took a stand. And because of 209 square miles of Fort Worth ISD being positively impacted by 2 schools, Eastern Hills Elementary and Forest Oak Middle School, I think we got you because we had elementary and secondary. You took it to 903 square miles, and I will be forever grateful. Children will be forever grateful, and I know that the city of Fort Worth will be forever grateful because of the money that you saved to MedStar and the Fort Worth Fire Department. But more than that, children now know how to control their asthma. When they feel that tickle in their throat, before those little bitty tiny tubes close down, they can go and get their treatment in the nurse's office. And that's because of you, Judge, and because of the county commissioners, and also because of Mike Steinert, who's standing to my left. So thank you. And if I could have a point of privilege to honor someone else here. Dr. Vinny Taneja has been an exceptional leader throughout COVID-19. He's helped not only the Fort Worth ISD, but I am executive director of a small 501c3, Fort Worth Spark, and we've worked on COVID vaccine hesitancy because this gentleman to my left has told me forever, just get shots in arms, please. And I heard what you said today. Because of his data, he has some of the foremost data in the country, and the partners that I've worked with, we've been able to really go into the areas that have high COVID vaccine hesitancy and target them, thanks to Dr. Taneja. So I just want to say thank you.
Y'all got to turn around and get a picture, so y'all turn around and get the picture.
I am particularly glad to be able to hand this proclamation off because I am an asthma sufferer, and I know how important it is to be prepared.
Thank you so much.
So y'all gather around.
Now to another great group of folks. Commissioner Allen.
Oh, no, was that Commissioner Brooks?
You skipped me.
Well, I guess I ought to come back to you.
Fort Worth Retired School Employees
Yes,
Association.
well, that's another great group of folks.
The Fort Worth Retired School Employees Association is actually in its 71st year. But because of COVID, they didn't get a chance to celebrate their 70th year. So this proclamation is in recognition of their 70th anniversary. And I'll let your voice have a little rest.
Thank you.
And I'll read this into the record. Fort Worth Retired School Employees Association 70th anniversary. Whereas the citizens of Tarrant County proudly join the Fort Worth Retired School Employees Association in recognizing its 70th anniversary as an association. And whereas established on May 1st, 1950, under the leadership of President Cora Lee Glenn, the association held 61 chapter members and was known as the Association of Retired Teachers. And whereas on July 15th, 1950, the organization changed its name to the Association of Retired Teachers of Fort Worth and Tarrant County, later changing it again on September 21st, 1988, to the Fort Worth Retired School Employees Association under the leadership of Dr. Ruth Cameron. And whereas it is the mission of the Fort Worth Retired School Employees Association to advocate for improved benefits for all education retirees and promote the well-being of its members. And whereas the Fort Worth Retired School Employees Association invests in the community through the Don Roten Scholarship Fund by providing financial assistance to high school seniors who plan to enter the teaching field. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby congratulate the Fort Worth Retired School Employees Association on its 70th anniversary and for its continued commitment to its membership and the community it serves. In witness whereof, we have hereunder set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 17th day of May 2022, and I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
It is my absolute pleasure to present this resolution to my lifelong friend, Murtis Parker, the president of the Fort Worth Retired School Employees Association. Murtis, would you meet me at the podium, please?
Thank you so much. We are very excited. Our membership of 500 now is very excited to receive this resolution. We also, in addition to providing scholarships, we provide books to elementary schools, children in elementary schools, and we're not banning any. And we hope to be able to expand that program. Right now, we can only do a few. But those are the, some of the many ways that we are visible in the community. And we're going to celebrate this 72 years tomorrow in our last meeting for the year. And thank you so very much. We're honored to receive it.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes. So I am honored to join my colleagues in recognizing the DFW Great 100 Nurses Day. We have quite a few nurses who have joined us, and we also have certificates. So I'm going to read the proclamation, and then I'm going to read the names of those receiving certificates, because I would like you to stand. Then I'm going to come down to the podium, present it, and then we'll take a group picture. So, GK, we will need your assistance in moving that. Okay. Whereas the Great 100 is a nonprofit with the mission of honoring and celebrating the nursing profession by raising awareness of the contributions of more than 50,000 nurses practicing in the DFW area. And whereas nurses from all practice areas in nursing include acute care, subacute care, school nursing, nurse leaders, academics, and many more are nominated by the community for their leadership, community service, compassion as caregivers, and contribution to the nursing profession. Whereas this annual award ceremony, which I believe is this evening, is that correct? Okay. And celebration builds the image of nursing through positive reinforcement and the profession as a scientific art and the recognition of those who exemplify excellence. Whereas nurses have always played a vital role in community health, but the COVID-19 pandemic brought heightened awareness to their contributions and dedication to patient care, to medical science, and to the sacrifices they make for us. And whereas throughout the pandemic, our nursing professionals met the new and ever-changing challenges in caring for our community with courage, compassion, resilience, and strength. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, with great gratitude and honor, do hereby proclaim May 17, 2022 as DFW Great 100 Nurses Day in Tarrant County. And further, we affirm this county's commitment to supporting and honoring our nursing professionals, and encourage all residents to celebrate nurses and the work they do in caring for us in times of illness and in times of celebration. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed the 17th day of May 2022. And with that, I move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great. So as I shared, we have a list of folks who have joined us here today, including Lindsay Perkins and Christy Wynn. And then nurses that'll be recognized. I'm going to read the list of names for those nurses who reside in Precinct 2, and then Commissioner Fickus has some that reside in Precinct 3, and then the judge is going to read the names for those who reside in Precinct 4 on Commissioner Johnson's behalf. So as I say your name, please stand. Robert Muberry, Ashley Attaway, Jack Scott, Candace Topping, Doris Blacksher, Catherine Daniel, Laura Sweet, Lori Spears, Virginia Chanley, Michael Culver, and Inesha Simmons. Go ahead, Commissioner
Okay.
John. Sorry,
I'd also
Commissioner
like
Fickus.
to announce our members who are here today that are representing Precinct 3. We have Brandy Bosley. We have Darla Eubank. We have Edward Collins. We have Iris Cruz. Stephanie Beavers. And then not with us today, but here in spirit and video, we have Jennifer Chavez. And we have Diane Thomas.
And then from Precinct 4, we have Gina Alexander, Kelly Cartwright, Kelly Murphy, Marklyn Jones. Let's give all these folks a tremendous round of applause.
So if I could have Christy. Okay, you're already on your way.
Hi, I'm Kristen Wynn, and on behalf of the DFW Great 100 Board and the DFW Great 100 nurses, thank you so much for the proclamation and the recognition of our nurses. Thank you.
I'm not going down there, you can. So sorry I embarrassed you, but you look just like the.
Were you talking about?
Yes.
That finger's blind.
Well, and it goes all over the place. You can. Thank you. Where do you work?
HD.
Okay. With my wife. And I'm going to stand up because I'm going to be a part of this too, even if I'm a long distance part of it. Thank you, Toby. Hurry up, she's getting tired of standing on her toes back there.
Let me give these out. It's Stephanie Beaver.
Yes, sir.
Ours Cruz. There you go. Edward Collins. Laurel Beaver. There you go. Brandy Boston. That's you. Edward Collins. Edward Beaver. Okay. And I've actually got two more of people who are not.
Here, wait a minute, Gary, here.
Thank you. This is Jennifer Chavez and Diamond.
Yes, I'll do it to her.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all are great.
Okay. And we're still passing them out, okay.
We've got Commissioner Johnson. We have Gina Alexander. Did I get that right? Okay. Kelly Courtright, right behind me. There you go. Kelly Murphy. Marquin Jones. There you go. One more. And the winner is Jessica Dora. Okay.
Which is the reason I didn't read that name out and mispronounce it. Before all y'all get away, I just want to make one this has been an absolutely fantastic morning. I mean, look at what we have recognized and who we've appreciated today. First, people who are working to help our kids that are in the justice, or people who are through the justice system. Secondly, our educators. And finally, our nurses. For the last couple of years, especially the teachers, especially the nurses, you have been under tremendous pressure and scrutiny. I cannot thank you enough for everything you've done, the way you have reacted, the way you have just done everything that is your passion, and that's serving people. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything you do. Can we adjourn? Because I don't think it's going to go uphill from here.
And I do have to give a thanks to Lindsay Perkins for bringing this recognition opportunity to the county, so thank you.
So, Your Honor, we receive and file.
Can I have a motion to receive and file the recognition?
So moved.
Second. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Court members, you have before you the consent agenda. As noted, changes.
Move approval with the changes noted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Your Honor, we'd like to go to the briefing items at this time, and the first one that we want to discuss with the court is the item dealing with the issuance of debt related to the 2021 bond election program. Ms. Alexander is here to address the court at this time. And Your Honor, I may, after Ms. Alexander's presentation, I'd like to make one or two comments on this also.
Yeah, how do you like following what you get to follow?
That's a bunch of good stuff,
A bunch of good stuff.
for sure. So, good morning.
Good morning.
So I quickly wanted to update you guys on where we've been and what's coming. We're planning on being in the market next week, and I just don't want there to be any surprises when I come back next Tuesday, in part so I want to make sure you get your questions answered. Have a slide?
We
No?
can go on.
Okay, all right.
But they do have your deck in their red folder.
Okay.
Oh, is it in here?
Yes.
All right, it's just a one-page summary, but, so we have been moving fast. I want to really first stop and tell you guys how much I appreciate the county's team, GK and Lisa in particular, and budget and audit. It's been a heavy lift to get where we are as quickly as we have been. And as a reminder, the county hasn't sold bonds publicly, so haven't put together an offering document since 2015. So it's a lot to update and bring current. And their team's been great. And we went through the rating process also. So we met with Moody's and Standard & Poor's. And I know that I think you've already heard the news that the county's AAA ratings were affirmed. I want to just remind everybody that of the 254 counties in Texas, only 9 are rated AAA by 2 entities. So Tarrant County is in very short order company with among the most highly rated counties in the state. And the rating agencies consistently cite the robust and growing economy, obviously, in Tarrant County, the strong management team, and the solid finances with strong reserves and liquidity. Those are just kind of some high points from the rating reports that I wanted to be sure we're on record with you. So the plan going forward is to sell bonds in order to fund $225 million. So now I'm kind of on that one pager. There will be a bond premium. So bonds were sold at more than 100 cents on the dollar, essentially. Investors will pay a premium. They will get an above-market interest rate for that premium, so they're sort of prepaying the interest that they will receive in the future, which means we are going to sell less than $225 million in par amount to fund the $225 million in projects. So right now, I'm estimating the par amount to be about $214 or $215 million based on current market conditions. When we come back next week, it'll be final and it'll be based on market. It won't be $225 million, but it will fund $225 million. That's one to.
I thought we were talking about 250.
When we looked at we said somewhere between 200 and 250, and we talked about what it might do, an impact on the tax rate and everything. And we talked with the court about the 225, and that seemed like a comfortable number. And what Laura is saying here is that while that amount may be, it may sell at 214, we will actually receive 225 in cash.
And then also, what's in the red folder is the wire terms and conditions. There's not.
Is there not a slide deck in there also?
Oh, it's, okay, let's see. I may have overlooked that.
It should be the one that has a court communication. If not, well, then we'll make sure that you get a copy of that.
Oh, I see it. Okay, I ran right past it. Okay, great.
And the $225 million, roughly in terms of, we talked about the potential impact to the debt service tax rate, whether you're reallocating funds or contributing cash or however you get there, the equivalent impact on the debt service tax rate of this financing will still be about 1/4 cent on the debt service tax rate.
You're saying that we'll transfer, we're not going to change the tax rate, but we're talking about moving 1/4 cent from M&O over to debt service.
Correct. Or it could be a combination of other one-time sources of funds. You might do it as a bridge. I'm not going to get into how you guys get there, but that's one way to get there.
And Your Honor, that's why we talked about 1/4. Everyone said about 1/4 cent would be something that the court would feel comfortable on. That's how we got the 225.
Well, I'm still remembering 250, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
So the plan is to sell 25-year debt, so amortizing over 25 years. Again, sort of an affordability, issue in terms of trying to get the 225 out there without increasing the impact on that debt service tax rate. The plan will be, after this meeting, to post the official statement, so that means it'll be publicly distributed, and the official statement is the offering document. That'll go out this afternoon. Monday, so the underwriters, which are led by Siebert Williams Shank, is the senior underwriter, and co-managers are BOK Financial and Jeffries. That team will start marketing later this week and provide some feedback, and then Monday will actually be in the market pricing, and that's when the rates will be finalized, subject to your approval next Tuesday. So Monday will be the pricing and rates will be set, and then we'll come back to the court meeting next Tuesday for your approval at that time.
And right now, I'm estimating the borrowing cost to be about 3.86%. That was yesterday. Market has been pretty choppy, pretty rough. Most weeks lately, it's been moving against us. We've moved as quickly as we can to get where we are. So I want to say the county has sort of controlled what they can control in this process to get to market quickly. And, we'll obviously hope it comes in better than that. I'm just, again, sort of putting that out there where I see current market right now so that you won't be surprised. And that was all my comments today. I'm happy to answer questions or.
If you'll just discuss the variables that affect the closing date. I saw the asterisk there.
Right. So the closing date, that's a good question. So after the court action next Tuesday, the documents will all be finalized, signed, right? And then there's an attorney general approval process in the state of Texas. And so they, I think, asked for like a 17-day business day lead time. So it takes a little while for us to close. It's very typical of financings in Texas. Don't anticipate any issues with that closing process at all. But that's really when funds will be received by the county, and we will have been through that process. And then at which point the bonds become incontestable. And if you have more questions, Jonathan Cranes from Kelly Hart and Hallman is here.
Hey, Jonathan. Okay.
Any other questions?
Just a comment. I'd like to thank this court and our financial advisors, Hilltop and Estrada Hinojosa, for naming Siebert Williams Shank and Company senior manager on this debt issue. This firm is the largest minority public finance company in America, and they have always been a part of our debt issuing team. But this is the first time that they've had the opportunity to serve as senior manager. This is a landmark day in Tarrant County, and I just wanted to make note of that fact and let you know how proud I am.
My question is for GK. So
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a broken record on this. This is my first time going through the bond process with the county. So after this closing date and we've got the money, so to speak, then what's the next step?
So excuse me, so we are already working with our municipal partners on the projects that have been outlined and recommended to the court. We're beginning to construct those ILAs. Also, there's going to be monies which will be available for the discretionary accounts for the commissioners and the county judge that will be available. And so you will see as quickly as we can get the ILAs put into place, then moving forward to the court for their approval.
Okay. Great.
We also want to make sure that we talk a little bit with the court about the 2006 package. We still have some revenue left over mainly in the discretionary accounts. And we want to make sure if there's a reason to allocate those funds also, that we do that as quickly as possible.
Great. Okay. That's all I have.
So, Your Honor, if I could just make a statement.
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks a lot.
You know, as Laura said, the rating agencies, when we go to the rating agencies and even in the development of the offering statement, for those of you all who have not been involved in that, that's a really tedious task. And there have been a lot of people who have worked very, very hard on this, and I want to take an opportunity to recognize those. Besides our attorneys and our financial advisors internally, the county auditor's office, Renee, Kim Buchanan, and Laura Wiest have been working on this in great detail. From the budget department, Helen and Candace have been working extensively on this. And from our office, Lisa McMillan and Megan South have been working on this also, along with some of the ACAs. I can't tell you how tedious it is. In fact, up until the very last minute, we were ironing out all the details, and you have a very good team. We did ask, I think it was Standard & Poor's, to give us a AAA superior even though that rating doesn't exist. We did recommend that they create that rating.
Yeah.
And in fact, the Standard & Poor's document is, they made a statement in there, and we'll provide that to the court, but the rating and the stability of the county is greater than the sovereign. Which
It's
means
greater than what?
the sovereign. Our rating is higher than that of the United States government.
Amazing.
Doesn't get much better than this. So I just want to make sure everyone realizes that team worked extremely hard, and it was quick, though it was about an hour with each rating agency. I think we made our point, obviously, and once again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate our staff and the work that they did.
Well, I'd like to echo that, especially given that we don't know what the future holds, but you all have just done amazing work in us sustaining this, everything that we're working on. And I think sometimes when you talk about the numbers, that oftentimes we kind of skim over them, but they're hugely important and shows the benefit of the team to our taxpayers and to what's next for Tarrant County, even though everyone knows that's a big question mark. There's a big question mark there, I should say. So congratulations.
It's also a credit to the leadership of this court and the stability of this court over so many years that our debt rating is the highest in America.
So, members of the court, we can now go to another briefing item. This will be item number B, which is the hospital district bond package and district activities. Dr. Duncan is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Glad to see you back, Judge Whitley.
Good to be back.
A few members in the audience that I'd like to recognize that are here today. We have two of our board members, Steve Montgomery and Roger Fisher. Roger serves as our vice chair for the JPS Board of Managers, and Steve has been long-term member of our Board of Managers. Also, we have with us Derek Walls from Broadus, and Monica Bailey Jackson and Roger Witt from Levis as part of the Broadus Levis partnership that is overseeing a lot of the bond work. And then I would like to also introduce our new COO. Yes, I look like I've got some rest and sleep, and like no bags under my eyes this morning. Didn't need the tea bags this morning. But Bill, if you could stand. This is Bill Masterton. Bill joined JPS about 2 weeks ago. He comes with a lot of experience. He grew up in Florida, went to school there in Florida, and then went on to become a CPA. He then joined KPMG as doing consulting work, and then went on to a healthcare system where he was a controller, and then moved into a CFO position. He spent most of his career with Tenet Health System. Started as a CFO, then moved to a COO, and then moved to a CEO. So a long-term stint with Tenet in multiple seats, and I think that gives us added advantage to have that perspective at JPS. He then went on to become a CEO with University Medical Center in New Orleans, and then most recently was doing some consulting work in Atlanta. So we're very fortunate to have him. He has, within just a couple of weeks, has hit the ground running. His last comment to me on Friday as he left work is, there's a lot going on. So he enjoys golf, and so he does try to spend his weekends golfing. I will not tell you what his handicap is. It's not good, but it's a great COO. With that said, I would like to, first of all, it was a great morning with the proclamations, just the work and the support that we get both from you, Judge, your leadership, and members of the court, especially as it pertains to healthcare. And although I was standing here representing JPS, I do want to give credit to Dr. Haynes. Many of you know Dr. Jay Haynes, who during my first week at JPS brought forth this program, since I have practiced pediatrics a number of years. I was truly impressed in just the progress that it's made. And the impact it's made on the care of children and keeping them in their seats is so important. So just really want to thank you. That is huge. And I'm sure it will start to see it across the nation. So again, I want to thank you for that. As far as updates for JPS, we continue to be in the single digits with admissions for COVID. We have no patients in our critical care or ICU units, and so it's given us opportunity to kind of get above water and take a deep breath. We continue to work on improving our care, and so being recognized by the Joint Commission for the care we receive. We most recently completed our re-verification of our Level 1 trauma program with no findings, and that says a lot about our Trauma 1 program and the team members who work there. We also have some disease-specific certifications that we have received. One is with acute myocardial infarction, and the other is sepsis program. Huge programs. We also had in-person certification visits with Joint Commission. We went through those successfully with no findings. And most recently, we started an initial certification with our blood management program. And this is across the hospital, outpatient, inpatient, our NICU program. Again, a great visit by Joint Commission, and there were no findings. We were awarded the highest level of certification. So again, want to thank the teams at JPS. You recognize the nurses today, and so thank you. For that, we will have 7 nurses who will be recognized this evening at the, I believe, 100 Nurses, the DFW Awards ceremony this evening in Dallas. So we have 7 nurses, the largest number of any hospital system. So we're very proud of the nurses. We completed Hospital Week. Last week was National Hospital Week, and so we completed Hospital Week. Give us opportunity for the first time to really re-engage on a more face-to-face level. Again, meeting, I know Vinny may be in the audience, but using our CDC guidelines. But that was really important to the teams that have been really working hard across healthcare. And then lastly, I want to speak about our first JPS Future Healthcare Heroes event. We welcomed O.D. Wyatt High School Health Sciences program to our hospital. Just a little fact, you may not know that Amanda Arizola attended high school there, and so she kicked off that program. It was an opportunity for about 15 students in that program who have an interest in healthcare to come and to tour the hospital and to hear from different healthcare programs within JPS. Often students think healthcare is about being a nurse or doctor, but it's much more. It takes a lot to run a hospital. And so they had an opportunity to come. And we received a lot of thank you notes from the students, so that was a great program that we're looking forward to partnering with high schools across Tarrant County. So I wanted to share that with you. Regarding the bond work, there continues to be a lot of work that's going on. There have been a lot of RFPs and RFQs that have gone out. We've had great response to those RFPs and those RFQs with a large number of MWVBE participation. We've had a lot of local vendors and firms, state and national. So it just has been, I think the information is out there, and we've had some really great responses. I do want to thank the court for helping us as we move forward in choosing the best vendor for the work that we are doing. With that, we know it's important to start some activity, but there is a lot of work that's going on. Derek informed me this morning on our one-on-one call that on average, any 1 week, he has about 32 meetings that are going on across JPS. So there is quite a bit of work that's going on. With our psychiatric emergency clinic, we are working internally with Guidehouse, Meadows, and our behavioral health team on developing the programs that will be in our new psychiatric emergency clinic. And we also have at the table Beck, who will help us with our design and our construction of the psychiatric emergency clinic. That will allow for more than twice the amount of space that we currently have our psych emergency clinic, with additional services as part of that. As far as other projects that are going on, of course, there's always parking that we have to work on, and so we continue to work through as to who will be doing that work, and I know some of those interviews are coming forward to the commissioners soon. Lastly, regarding our medical homes, I want to thank Commissioner Brooks for hosting our first community outreach listening session in the Southwest Medical Home area, and that was great, and the number of individuals, both who were live there and then also some of the surveys that come back. So looking forward to coming back and giving you just a review of what we learned from those listening sessions. There is another virtual listening session this evening that is going on. That information can be found on Yes to JPS, which is our JPS site to find out information about the bond. We are finalizing the contract terms for the property there, so we're getting closely to identifying the property. And as you all know, the design and construction work that will start there will be, let me get the firm correct. I often don't get all of these, especially the multiple name ones, but Byrne, Postel, SBL will start the programming and planning for that medical home. That is all I have regarding the JPS and the bond. Are there any questions?
I want to thank you for the leadership that you are exercising in pushing this program forward. I can't wait to see some dirt fly.
Oh, that's all I say every morning is, where's the dirt you come? Let's get a shovel. Can I get some hard hats? Can we get something? But yeah,
and
we
thank
are.
you to the Broadus Levis team as well.
Been great partners. Thank you.
And I would just add that, I mean, Commissioner Brooks and I have been part of those planning committees. I think that's been a very good process. I think, still want to be sure, we've talked about emphasizing that the number one priority is some of those mental health beds and getting that done early, the locations for our medical homes. Hopefully, I hope that we have our locations identified, again, in cooperation and collaboration with our commissioners before the end of the year, because I just think it's critical that we move forward as rapidly as possible on that stuff. So, but it has been a very productive meeting as we've been going forward on those.
Thank you, Judge Whitley.
The only thing that I wanted to add is just a thanks to you and your team for regularly participating in our Precinct 2 JPS quarterly bond update meetings to the community. The community regularly provides feedback that information is helpful, and that's whether you're a patient or someone who cares about healthcare, or if you're interested in doing business with the bond. And the webinar that we hosted last week, we also had Susan Garnett with My Health, with MHMR of Tarrant County, and we focused that conversation on mental and behavioral health care. And that's so important. Everyone's talking about it, but this is just my message that if you need help, that please seek it. There are resources here in Tarrant County. And we've shared this before. I know the judge has shared it. Others have shared it. Is with MHMR of Tarrant County. We have the iCare call center that's 24/7. And so if you need help, just Google MHMR Tarrant County. So be human. You can be strong. You can be resilient. You can be perseverant, but you could also need help, and that's okay. So please make sure that you can call JPS. JPS has resources, and also MHMR of Tarrant County. So thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
Also, congratulations on a great hire.
Yes.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
Bill.
Thank you. Thanks again.
Members of the court, we can now go to the administrator section.
Mr. Romanius, is there anyone here that is going to talk to briefing item C?
There is, yes.
So why don't we do
I'll
that
take that now also.
and let them be done?
Very good. With that, I'm going to ask Ms. McMillan to address the court at this time.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning, Liz.
Over the last few months, it's been my pleasure to be able to work with the Archives and the Historical Commission as we transition to a new Historic Preservation and Archives Officer. And I do want to introduce Jamie Shepard, who is our Assistant Archivist. She has been holding down the fort. Jamie, you want to stand up? While we're in this transition, and this is her first time to court, so I just wanted everyone to meet her. Thanks, Jamie. So I do want to introduce today Bob and Clara Holmes, who are members of the Tarrant County Historical Commission, and they're going to talk to you today about one of the many projects that the Historical Commission is working on, and then I think afterward they're going to also give an announcement of some exciting news too. Bob and Clara.
Good morning, Commissioners. How about those healthcare workers?
Morning.
As the spokesman for our Tarrant County Historical Commission, introducing myself, Bob Holmes, and my wife, Lady Clara, we go ahead and we're going to what? And oh yeah, Linda, you've got another one. As a
Linda, hold tight, because he's gonna run over you yet.
Member and supporter, we shouldn't forget Linda Bash Bush. What we're here today for is all of our mandates to save historical buildings and everything goes into the fact of preservation, restoration, or repurposing. And to that end, today, the King Candy Company is going to be our subject. And that's really, if you say King Country, come in, put a little bit of heritage into it, well, it would be, emblematic of a Hershey of the Northeast. So we have a building down here on the 9th, and we'll have a picture right here on the viewer. And that is, I'll just give you a little read off on that. The King Candy Building is architectural jewel connecting us to the city history. The Fort Beast King Candy Building was for decades one of the principal candy makers in the United States and making the capital kind of the southwest of the candy makers. He also was a power in politics and business. He was elected to county clerk in 1888, served for 10 years, then went into business in 1906, making the candy, and prior to that, after that, they got into the, the typical of council management of government in 1925, so he was a fire force in that. But what we're talking about today is his building here down on 9th Street. We want to make everybody aware that, that is a piece of history, and it's almost, a rare surviving example of early 20th century construction and architecture. The another counterpoint for him and the building was the candy makers were the first people to use the female workforce. So we're appreciating that particular. He, as we work with you on this, we'd like the Commission Court to, be aware, and the communication is the key to everything. So we'd like to get you to, on our side of saving this building, have we identified a developer who will take it over by promoting its relevance to our community history, the Southwest's biggest candy making business, and of course, as I mentioned before, one-time competitor to Hershey. So basically, just kind of recap, and then I'll let Clara move in onto it. We just want to recognize the historical importance and talk it up through constituents and other people that might be able to get into the preservation, reworking or repurposing, and see if we can save some of this that once it's gone, history goes with it. Okay, Lee Claire.
I'd like to introduce Linda Fash Bush. She kind of becomes very important to us, and I'll tell you why in a minute. As you can see, this building is just basically falling down, and to bring it to your attention, that if you have an opportunity to speak up about it, then I know that you'll take it. And in talking about this building, Linda stepped up just last week and is going to fund a marker for us to put at the building, some space where they'll allow us to do that. So just wanted to thank her for that. And also, I'd like to make you aware that on June the 6th, in the old Tarrant County Courthouse, we're going to have a birthday party for Fort Worth. As you all know, Major Ripley Allen Arnold founded the fort June the 6th, 1849. Many of you know that we've recently acquired a collection of Major Ripley Allen Arnold, which contains his original sword. We've now put that in the 1895 museum in the courthouse. Mr. Fickus came yesterday and looked at it, and I think was pleased with it. And so on June the 6th, and you'll be getting invitations this week, at 2 o'clock, we will be celebrating June 6, 1849, Fort Worth's birthday, and also the dedication of the Arnold Collection in the 1895 room museum at this time. And we thank Linda Fash Bush for funding the Arnold Collection. And G.K. Manius knows how many years we went through getting that collection, like 21 years. We thank him very much, and you all. You've always been so good to us.
Anyway, it was really an honor for my family to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Just to note, the Fash Foundation funded $75,000 for the purchase of the Arnold artifacts.
That's right.
So, is there a plan for this King Candy Company building?
I believe that what we're trying to, actually there was a plan moving forward with the King Candy building. I believe that we're all working toward some type of official dedication and recognition in order to save that as a historical facility. And I don't know where at that point yet.
We'll probably have to get back with you on that, because there are other organizations that are interested in this building and want to speak up about it. Historic Fort Worth were one. So we could look at what the plan is in the future and bring that back to you in a few weeks, if that would be okay.
That will be just fine. I think that the best way to save a building is to adaptively reuse the building. Without a plan to do that, then we put a fancy marker on it and just watch it continue to fall down. And that does not, that doesn't help anybody.
And now that we've started the ball rolling, so to speak, that's exactly what we'll do, is put a plan in action and then come back to you, let you know what's going on. Because we do have, once we start talking about this kind of thing, and people, they don't know it's there. They don't go down that part of town. There's really nothing to bring them down there. And when they drive by it and look at it, you know, the walls are just falling down. So we get a group together, maybe go put our bricks back up or something. But it's a shame, because it's a beautiful old building. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Informed, would you?
So, court members, if we can now go to the administrator's section. On the first item, this is a standing item that we have. We've given you our weekly review, which we completed this morning of last week. Just a note also, and we're going to ask that you receive and file that document, but just a note also, yesterday at 5 o'clock, our calls for projects for the community programs, that was the amount that we had budgeted, about $35.5 million. We closed that. We have received 131 applications, And the total value on that is $208,534,000. So we have not been able to, we just finished that yesterday evening. We're going to be working with our partners at IEM to distill that and start bringing in and to rank those so that we can bring those back to the court. So what we're doing today on item number, we're asking you to receive and file the weekly report.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
So, members of the court, on item number 2, we are going to ask that, obviously, this is another standing item. There are 2 actions, actually 1 action on this one. The first one, we reported that on the changes to the FRF budget, there are none today. What we have done on item number B, we provided you a list, which is attachment A, that simply shows which, how we're going to ask you to expend some ARPA funds as it relates to 4 projects that are on your court actions today. So we ask that you receive and file that document.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
So, members of the court, we had asked that on the rules of decorum, as I said, this was a placeholder that we placed on the agenda. We still need to have some discussions with the court as it relates to those rules. We do have an audience participation form, Your Honor, on that also. I don't know if you want to hear that now or wait till after closed.
I have no problem bringing him up now and talking about it again all I can do is request that we not take any action today.
I think we're all fine with that.
I'm fine with that.
So I'm going to go ahead and ask you to come up, Mr. Torlincasi, to talk about it, but I'll assure everybody that once we have discussed this in closed, we will not come back out and take any. We may discuss it, but we won't take any action on this item today. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Judge Whitley, commissioners, public employees, and citizens and taxpayers watching online. I did want to comment on this topic. I'm not certain how rules of decorum or etiquette qualify for closed session unless you consider it a security discussion. But I have a couple suggestions since decorum is important and managing the meeting is important to all of you and it's important to the people that come and get an opportunity to speak. Sometimes the breaches of decorum include other audience members interrupting speakers while we speak, maybe because they don't agree or they want to shout speakers down. So crafting more specific decorum rules and etiquette rules are pretty useful, even to people like me. I do want to caution that free speech and the First Amendment is supposed to be robust, wide open, and uninhibited. It makes a really difficult and delicate balance when you're trying to make rules because sometimes people get up here and they're pretty passionate or fearful or just literally upset when they need to express themselves. So decorum is a two-way street. That means that both you as the elected public officials have to give up as much leeway and patience as you can, especially to inexperienced speakers. But here are 3 specific suggestions on decorum that you might embrace. One of them is that commissioners not eat while they're in the middle of the meeting, or make it so that their microphone and the munching of eating during a moment of silence would be considered lack of decorum. Interrupting a moment of silence during a speaker's 3 minutes to ask that the meeting move along is also a breach of decorum. But the most egregious thing I've seen actually happened last week, and it's something that none of you are aware of, whether you're on the Zoom or the 4 of you sitting there. It's probably outside of your bandwidth of understanding why this is an issue. I'm not that afraid to come up here and speak my mind on an issue, whether you agree with me or not. But some of the people last week, it was difficult for them. And so one of the things I want to make you publicly aware of is when there's a pileup right here out of view of the commissioners, 4 or 5 officers, deputies, that are not here to be bailiffs, they're not Jennifer Gabbard, they're not people that are here to report on a budget or a specific request by the sheriff. They literally were alerted to come 2 or 3 hours into your meeting to stand there and stare at the members of the public, to intimidate. And that puts a chill and a shade on free speech.
Members of the court, we can now go to item D. This is the criminal district attorney's section. As I said previously, these 2 items should have been on the administrator section rather than the DA section. The reason we pulled them from the consent is because we do have audience participation forms. So I'll begin this. What we're asking for on item number 1 is to approve the attorney employment agreement, which would engage Kenneth E. East as it relates to the defense of a former Tarrant County employee of the lawsuit, which is entitled Sondrea Miller versus Tarrant County. The reason that we're seeking outside counsel is because the district attorney's office is conflicted out on this and cannot provide representation. Also, there is a statutory requirement that the Commissioner's Court provide outside counsel or pay for counsel for an employee that has been either charged with an offense or needs representation in acting in their role as a county employee. So
and
that
because of that statutory authority, we have no choice.
That's correct. That's
Thank
correct.
Well, and I was going to ask if we could share the specific part of code that addresses that.
Okay, very good. Also on item number 2, there were 2 officers that we're talking about here. Each of them get their separate counsel. This is also an attorney employment agreement with James Jeffrey, and it deals with the same case. Both of these are an amount individually not to exceed $30,000 without first coming back to the court. So we do have 2 audience participation forms on that. We have one audience participation form for those 2
Thank
items.
you. Do you all have a site that was requested by the commissioner?
Yes, Judge, it's local government code 157.901.
You want to read it?
Sure, I can certainly do that. It's specifically subsection B is the one that issue here. It states if additional counsel is necessary or proper in the case of an official or employee provided legal counsel under subsection A, or if it reasonably appears that the act complained of may form the basis for the filing of a criminal charge against the official or employee, the official or employee is entitled to have the Commissioner's Court of the county employ and pay private counsel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Torlin-Cassi.
Judge Whitley and commissioners, members of the public, hearing that there's a statute makes the folks that are advocates for change scratch their head in the sense that there's an equity issue. For example, maybe this statute traps you, which means you don't really need to vote, except for if there's a cap, say $30,000. But this particular state statute might very well violate the 14th Amendment, which is equal protection under the law. There's some irony here. These 2 defendants are yet a symptom of the problem in the jail, and they're going to take the brunt of the responsibility for their record keeping or lack thereof. The reality is the district attorney could have charged them with other offenses, and the Justice Department could in fact charge them with offenses. But to open up that can of worms means exposing their supervision and their leadership. The other point I wanted to make is that this goes to the greater discussion that law enforcement needs to start moving towards being self-insuring, because as a taxpayer, what I'm hearing is that we pay for these 2 individuals' prosecution. We pay for these 2 individuals' defense. And we're going to pay bigly for their mistake in civil litigation that you have to vote on in executive session.
We don't vote in executive session.
All right. You should consider lobbying our legislators to amend the law and make it that we reimburse their defense costs if they're acquitted. And one of the other ironies is that we have a public defender department, not much of one, but we have one, and all of the individuals currently in the jail that these two gentlemen may have oppressed and doctored the books on, ethically and morally would deserve the same defense, the same opportunity to have their private defense attorneys be paid. But they don't have that opportunity. And more ironic is, this goes back to jail crowding, overcrowding, especially for the people that are unadjudicated. Because I'm going to guess that neither one of these individuals is sitting in the county jail right now. And my point is that the taxpayers, on a financial basis, are paying every side of these bad acts. And it's regrettable that it is the statute that traps us and makes us have to pay the cost of every side of this particular circumstance.
I am going to make a comment on this one just because of the fact that I've been pretty involved in indigent defense since its creation. The state requires us to provide defense for anyone who is judged to not be able to provide it for themselves. It's not a public defender. We contract with attorneys that are selected randomly from a wheel that is determined by the judges who hear those types of cases. We pay in excess of $20 million, maybe a year. On that, the state had indicated they were going to reimburse us. They reimburse us less than 25%. So the statement that the folks in the jail are not getting treated the same from that perspective as far as being provided legal assistance is not correct. The only difference is we have yet to be able to determine a limit on the indigent defense costs for those folks within the jail. And I would welcome anybody to lobby the legislature to look, if they're going to insist that we do it, that they pay for it. Because you're right, we do pay for the prosecution side and currently, but I do believe that everybody is due being represented by legal counsel. I just believe that the state should help pick up some of that cost, and they're not.
So, members of the court, we're asking that the Commissioners Court approve item D, 1, and 2.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motions pass unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Garcia?
Good morning.
Good morning, Heidi.
Members of the court. I come here today to ask the court to canvass the results of the state constitutional amendment elections that we held on May 7th. This is a requirement in the code. Even though it's not a local election, the court is required to canvass and certify the results so we can forward them to the state for them to finalize.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Facilities management. Mike? Hyder, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Nope.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
Still is. Hurry.
Yeah.
We have two items to your consideration. Both of these items are ARPA-FRF funded. We are requesting approval of a professional services contract for Air Balancing Company Incorporated related to the replacement of the HVAC building automation control system project at the Correction Center. in the amount of $298,640,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Our second item is approval of a professional services contract for Air Balancing Company Incorporated related to the air handling replacement project at the Tarrant County Corrections Center in the amount of $550,775.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Ms. Glenn?
Move to receive and file the personnel agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Good morning, Ms. Glenn.
Good morning, I made
Hi.
it. It's good to see you back, Judge Whitley.
Good to be back.
So we have just one additional item for the court, and that's item 2. We're asking the court to approve a waiver of terminal benefits. This is a request from Constable Bedford. He's requesting a waiver of 392 vacation hours effective May 18th. This is related to the retirement of his chief deputy. We're estimating that the net cost to the general fund will be approximately $12,889. That does include fringe benefits.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa?
Morning. Good morning. Yeah.
Good morning, Melissa.
We have 4 items for your consideration this morning. The first item is regarding RFP number 2022-038. This is our annual contract for biometric fingerprint system upgrade for the Sheriff's Office, awarding to DataWorks Plus in the amount of $178,511.50. And this is our ARPA-funded project.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
The second item is also an award recommendation regarding bid number 2022-104. This is the purchase of a morgue racking system for the medical examiner's office, awarding to Phoenix Metal Products in the amount of $141,682. This is also ARPA funded.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
The third item is regarding bid number 2022-139. This is also an award recommendation for annual contract for automotive light truck parts and supplies used countywide for awarding to the various vendors listed per section, primary, secondary, and alternate.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And the last item is regarding bid number 2022-112. This is our annual contract for tasers and accessories and less lethal weapons for the Sheriff's Office. We're just requesting rejection of all bids.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any appointments today? There being none, then we'll move forward to the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Please vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Do we have any other briefing?
There are no other briefing items, Your Honor.
Okay, then we have a public comment. Mr. Torlincasi.
Judge Whitley, commissioners, citizens, and taxpayers, I know there are quite a number of people watching online. This is sort of a follow-up to the number of people who spoke last week. Some of those folks who are visiting from out of town, advocates for jail reform. One of the things that money could be spent for, dedicated to, is giving the district attorney's office the ability to fund more than one attorney for the civil rights responsibility. In a large municipal county, we get confused during the politics of things and can start calling them the criminal district attorney. Most of the public doesn't know that a district attorney has a wide variety of responsibilities in addition to prosecuting crimes. And while there is a white-collar criminal division and a civil division and a number of other compliance things, they even have the ability to refer things to the state or federal level. Despite what we've read from our current district attorney, the statute specifically says that the district attorney in each county has the ability to enforce and prosecute compliance with open meetings and open records. That's our first layer of defense as citizens, that we call on governmental bodies to comply with the law. There are a number of examples, and in reality, the conduct of the current district attorney's office is hampered because we don't have a full-fledged civil rights effort, because they just don't have the staff. I wanted to talk about the fact that we had a special hearing and a commissioner court meeting where we have focused on one of your administrators who's actually one of the best administrators in the county, and we had to listen to a whole lot of people exercise their First Amendment right over what was mostly foolishness and myth. The reality is that the worst administrator in the county is probably off on another trip right now. It is a fact that his brags and claims about his trafficking arrests is mostly folly. And that with nearly 500 arrests by entrapping individuals in Tanglewood and in Westover Hills, that's not where the human trafficking is in Tarrant County. The human trafficking in Tarrant County is warehoused in the little bit of Irving and in Grand Prairie and parts of East Arlington, where people are actually humanly held and locked in warehouses and buildings where sometimes they're trafficked for sexual purposes and sometimes as sweat labor. And yet our county is wasting lots of money on the sheriff's department and making a bunch of hay out of arrests that only resulted in 5 prosecutions. Just like the drug task force, another gimmick to keep the sheriff in the news.
I had one other comment from Tina Peters, but she is not here today, and so it will be posted to the into the record. Anything else at this time?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Then we will recess our open meeting, proceed to close, discuss items exempted under sections 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code. Having returned from closed session, there being no business to conduct at this time, we stand adjourned.